Hello everyone, welcome to Election Night 2018. The Senate elections, midterm year, Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader for the Republican Party, Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York, representing the minority party in the Senate, both of which seats are not up for Congress for re-election today, but we're still going to go through with this. Seats up in 2018, all the seats in blue are seats held by Democrats, and these are seats that are up for re-election. And there are 8 Republican seats, all the seats in red. And this election will be a very hard uphill climb for Democrats to take the majority. They would need to hold on to all of the blue seats here and win one. Not to mention the fact that around half of these Senate seats were won. These states were won by Donald Trump in 2016. States like Missouri, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, Florida, North Dakota, and Montana, all of which went for Trump by a very big margin of above 9% or more. In North Dakota, Montana, 30% or more. West Virginia, his biggest margin of victory here, held by a Democrat. We're going to see what happens tonight. Balance of power as of today, 52 Republicans to 46 Democrats, with 2 independents caucusing with the Democrats, which is why it's on the Democratic side. To take control of power, Democrats need plus 3 seats tonight. They need to overcome the barrier between Mike Pence deciding the Senate control if it's a 50-50 tie. To retain power, Republicans need to hold 5 seats. They held Alabama in December. Instead of 6 seats, they now need to only hold 5 seats out of the 8. Possible scenarios, let me just show you how much of a uphill climb it is for the Democrats. This is the best case for the Republicans if they win every single Senate seat tonight. 77-23, an overwhelming supermajority. Now, if Democrats are able to take every single seat up, they only have a 57-43 majority, and that's if they win in states like Wyoming, Nebraska, Tennessee, Mississippi, and this is not likely. They would have had to win in Alabama, and in fact it would actually be 56-42, but this was taken as if Alabama was won by Democrats, which it wasn't. This is the polled scenario based on polling. 45 Democrats to 55 Republicans if polling goes through today. The Senate majority chances throughout 2018, if you notice in May, Democrats spike up after a Trump scandal, however slowly turn down after new polls come out, and by the end of November, Democrats had around 1% chance of taking back the Senate. It is now 6 p.m. Eastern Time. The state of Indiana, polls have closed, and the state of Indiana is too close to call, held by Democrat Joe Donnelly, Luke Messer with 51% starting off with an early lead. It is now 7 p.m. Eastern Time. 3 states' polls have closed. The state of Vermont, Bernie Sanders will take this state, 72% of the vote here. Florida, too close to call, Bill Nelson tied with Carlos Pantera right now. Virginia, too close to call, Corey Stewart, remember him from the 2017 governor election, 43% to Tim Kaine's 55%. The balance of power as of right now, 1 independence race has been called, 32 uncalled races, 44 Republicans, and 23 Democrats. It is now 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Ohio and West Virginia's polls have closed. This is a very early call, actually. Joe Manchin with 62% off in the early vote. Right now, he's projected to win this Senate race, so he's projected to go to a Republican according to polling. However, Evan Jenkins had a very big scandal come up yesterday, and it's hurt his chances, so we have now enough information to call this Senate race for the Democrat, which has proved the polls wrong by a very big margin. Ohio, too close to call, Josh Mandel ahead with 1% vote more than Sherrod Brown, the incumbent. It is now 8 p.m. Eastern time, and all the states on your left polls have closed for the Senate. Connecticut, Chris Murphy, 65% of the vote, projected to win here. Delaware, Tom Carper, 60% of the vote, projected to win. Maine, Angus King, independent caucusing with the Democrats, projected to win. Maryland, Ben Cardin, 60% of the vote, projected to win the Senate race. Massachusetts, Bill Weld, very popular here, however he only took 34% of the vote due to partisan voting. Elizabeth Warren, a big figure in the Democratic Party, projected to win with 66% of the vote. Michigan, the Senate race here, went for Trump in 2016, projected to go to Debbie Stabenow now. New Jersey, Bob Menendez, projected to win over Thomas Keene with 59% of the vote. Rhode Island, projected to go to Sheldon Whitehouse, 59% of the vote. Missouri, this is actually another Democrat who proved the polls wrong, with Austin Peterson, who lost the Republican nomination, if you remember, in the primary season. switched his party affiliation to Libertarian, made it on the ballot. However, he has split the party vote enough that we can project that Claire McCaskill will take this Missouri seat, and this one was actually very, very close. It was supposed to flip over to the Republicans according to all the pundits. They were not expecting the vote splitting to be as big as it is now with Oscar Peterson. It seems like he spoiled this election for the Republicans. Tennessee, Senate race here, Bob Corker, 56% of the vote. Mississippi, another solidly Republican state, projected to go to the Republican, Roger Wicker. The Florida Senate race is too close to call. Rick Scott, former governor of Florida, 49%, Bill Nelson, 50%. Pennsylvania, too close to call, another Trump state from 2016, Bob Casey, 4% ahead. Texas, interestingly, is too early to call. Ted Cruz, a very popular Republican here, 53% to veto with 45%. The balance of power, as of right now, 21 uncalled races, 2 independents, 46 Republicans, 4 away from their majority, 31 Democrats. It is now 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and all the state's polls on the left have closed, and the ones in yellow on the right have closed as well. Minnesota, Amy Klobuchar, very popular here, projected to win. Wisconsin, Senate race here, Tammy Baldwin, 58% of the vote, another Trump state. New Mexico Senate race, I think that's an error, but that is not Tammy Baldwin. But New Mexico is projected to stay with the Democrat incumbent. The state of Nebraska, Deb Fischer running unopposed here with 1% for the write-in vote. Wyoming, Roger Wicker again with no Democratic challenger, 2% going for the write-in vote. Roger Wicker, 98%, a very big margin, just like Deb Fischer had. Arizona is too close to call. Jeff Flake with Mark Kelly 2% behind, a Democrat showing up very well in a predominantly Republican state. Pennsylvania has now been called for Bob Casey. He takes an overwhelming lead now. Florida is projected to win by Bill Nelson. Bill Nelson will be the winner in the state of Florida. This is coming from information from the Secretary of State. The Democratic counties have just come in, and it looks like his lead will not be hindered by the Panhandle in Central Florida. It seems as if Miami-Dade County has carried him to the Senate race victory. Virginia, Senate race here, Tim Kaine projected to win. Remember, he was the vice presidential candidate for Hillary Clinton. New York Senate race, Kristen Gillibrand, 54%, projected to win. Balance of power, as you can see on the screen now. It is now 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and 4 new states' polls have closed. State of Utah, Orrin Hatch, 20% lead here. Mitt Romney was going to run here. However, he told Orrin Hatch that he wasn't going to, so Orrin Hatch decided to run for an 8th term. North Dakota, too close to call. Rick Byrd with 40% of the vote. Sorry about that, 40% of the vote. Heidi Heitkamp, 60%. Montana, too close to call. John Tester with a 3% lead. Nevada, too close to call. Jackie Rosen ahead of Dean Heller, a Republican who's held the seat. Arizona, too close to call. Mark Kelly, again, 4% behind. And Texas is too close to call. Ted Cruz holding a 7% lead. Ohio is too close to call. Sherrod Brown tied with Josh Mandel. It is too close to call in the state of Indiana. Luke Messer behind by 10%. It is now 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and 3 new states' polls have closed on the West Coast. California projected to go to Dianne Feinstein against Xavier Becerra, with 33% of the vote for him, 67% for Dianne Feinstein. Washington, Senate race here, 67% of the vote for Maria Cantrell. Hawaii, Mazie Hirono, projected to win this state. Luke Messer will not come out as a victor. He was the Republicans' darling child this election. Joe Donnelly will win the state of Indiana. It is now 12:10 a.m. Eastern Time. Stand by for a major projection. The state of Texas projected to go to Ted Cruz, and with this call in Texas, Republicans will retain Senate control with 40% of the vote nationwide, with Democrats at 59%. Although it may be like this, Republicans will retain their Senate control due to this map, and they have 50 Senate seats now, which gives them enough to caucus to work with Vice President Mike Pence to give them control. Meaning, if Democrats won every single one of these gray seats, the rest that are gray, and they won every single one of them, they would still not be able to take Senate control. The balance of power is on your screen now. 50 Republicans, 43 Democrats, 2 independents, with 5 uncalled races. Senate map is on your screen now. It is now 2:13 a.m. Eastern Time. Stand by for 2 projections. The state of Nevada has flipped from the Republican side. Dean Heller will come up as a loser in this election. And if you remember that Republicans were attacking him, sending out attack ads against Dean Heller, the most vulnerable Republican, and it seems like Republicans have caused their own defeat in this certain election. This is flipped from the Republican side. U.S. Representative Jackie Rosen will become the next senator from the state of Nevada. Ohio Senate race here. Sherrod Brown, 50% of the vote, projected to win by a mere 2%, 99% of precincts reporting. The Senate map is on your screen now. 47 Democrats, if you include Bernie Sanders and Angus King, to 50 Republicans. It is now 5:48 a.m. Eastern Time. Stand by for 2 major projections. Montana projected to go to Troy Downing. This is a very, very big flip, considering the fact that Jon Tester was reelected by a very small margin. However, he is loved in the state of Montana. His approval rating is pretty high. However, Republicans showed out in full force like they did for Greg Gianforte, and it seems as if that Jon Tester will come up as a loser in this election. 6 more years, and maybe he'll run again. He was the incumbent. Even with that, the Republicans were able to turn out their voters, get voters out to flip Montana. And the state of Arizona, speaking of flipping, has flipped from the Republican side. Mark Kelly, former astronaut, will take the seat from Jeff Flake. This is a strong Latino population here. It looks like Democrats have corralled their base here while not focusing in northern states, but this is a very, very helpful victory for the Democrats. The balance of power is on your screen now. Republicans now taking a majority without Mike Pence, 51 Republicans to 46 Democrats with 2 independents. The Senate map is on your screen now. 1 week later, North Dakota is too close to call. There is only one uncalled race, which is the state of North Dakota. Right now it is 50-50. 3 weeks later, North Dakota vote finalized. Stand by for a major projection. North Dakota has been won by Heidi Heitkamp. Remember, she has a 50% approval rating here, and it looks like that 50% is what got her re-elected by a margin of 31 votes. Rick Berg will be losing by 31 votes. He can call for a recount if he wants to. However, it's not likely that he will. He's already conceded the race, and Heidi Heitkamp will win with 50% of the votes, an almost exact tie to Rick Berg. 31 votes decided this race. Democrats did a great job of keeping this Republican state, and regardless of where you are in the political spectrum, the fact that this state was so partisan for Trump, you have to give props to Heidi Heitkamp for her running a very good campaign, along with Rick Berg running some very hard attack ads that would have not gotten her not elected if this wasn't a Democratic wave here. So Heidi Heitkamp was able to hold her ground, take that 50% approval rating, corral her base, take some Republican voters. She was able to hold on to the Senate race, and that was very surprising. Polls showed Rick Berg within a 15% lead here. It seems more and more elections are defying the polls, and I think pollsters need to get their game on. The balance of power as of tonight, 49 Democrats if you count the 2 independents, to 51 Republicans. The Senate map is on your screen now. A very much blue wave in some of the states that were won by Donald Trump. Only one state that went to Donald Trump that was previously held by a Democrat flipped to the Republican side, and that state was Montana. The chance of Senate control overnight, as you can see starting off in the night, Republicans had a very large victory around 8 p.m. Democrats spiked up, and then around 9 p.m. Democrats went over the Republicans after those calls in the Northeast, and Texas being claimed as too close to call, which was very surprising, which gave Democrats a boost in order to possibly win that seat. However, as soon as that Senate race was called, Democrats went down, and then now Democrats had a 1% chance of taking the Senate control, according to our predictability and ratings over. And Mike Pence did decide the majority chance tonight, which was 50-50 around 9 p.m. after those calls, when around 10 p.m. as well, when the Senate race was called. That's when Republicans started to spike up, because there was one more outlying Republican seat that was won. And by the end of the night, they had a 99% chance of not having Mike Pence needing to decide the majority. I do want to thank you guys for watching. I'm going to make this short and simple. Please comment down below suggestions, and I'll try to respond to each and every one of you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.